Prior to the House voting on the replacement for the Affordable Care Act, Jimmy Kimmel shared an emotional story regarding his newborn son, Billy, and his heart condition. During that story, he talked about the importance of accessible health care and how every single American deserves to get the medical care that they need, regardless of what their socioeconomic status is. Well, that seems like an uncontroversial stance, especially when you put yourself in a vulnerable position and you talk about your own family and your own struggles. Well, of course, conservatives were angry about it. Newt Gingrich was one of them. So Newt Gingrich goes in the media and starts tearing Jimmy Kimmel apart, and Jimmy Kimmel responds to it. And I want to give you a little bit of his response, okay? He says, I know this is gonna shock you. There were also some not so nice things that people said online about me, including members of the media. I would like to apologize for saying that children in America should have health care. It was insensitive, it was offensive, and I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. So obviously he's being sarcastic there. He says, there are some very sick and sad people out there. Here's one of them, his name is Newt Gingrich. Yeah. And then he proceeds to tear Newt Gingrich apart, which we'll get to in just a second. But I like that he's coming out strong on this issue.
Yeah. You would think that it's not that controversial. I mean, like when somebody says, hey, my baby has a heart condition and I'm empathizing with other people. Now I happen to have money, and so, and I've got insurance, thank God, and we're taking care of it. But my God, what if you didn't have insurance? And to the point about Newt Gingrich, it's not, you can't just show up in the emergency room and you're done with it. No, you got to go and get treatment for it over and over and over again. If you don't have insurance, my God, what would happen to your baby? That is such a fair question. And they're like, how dare you politicize it? Now,
but it's a political issue. It's a political issue. Healthcare in America is a political issue. He's in a very privileged position. And oftentimes people who are in a privileged position in this country refuse to have any empathy or compassion for those who aren't privileged. And I give Jimmy Kimmel a world of credit for putting himself in the middle of what is a divisive topic, which shouldn't be, and sharing the truth with his audience, right? I give him a lot of credit for that. And for Newt Gingrich to come out and make arguments about, well, you can go to the emergency room and you get the care you need, no one's gonna be turned away. Yeah, but if you have a heart condition, it's not about going to the emergency room once, which by the way is gonna be extremely costly and will probably put you through bankruptcy, but it's also about treatment, it's about preventative care. We have terrible preventative care, or at least access to preventative care in this country. These are all issues that every American, regardless of their political ideology, is concerned about. And for Newt Gingrich to go out there and attack Jimmy Kimmel for putting himself in a vulnerable position and sharing the truth, it's unconscionable, okay? He does not, unconscionable. He does not care at all about the American people. He is just, I don't know.
So Kimmel pointed out, hey, when your baby has a heart defect, not only do you need the surgery, but we've had to go to the doctor since then dozens of times.
Yeah.
So when you say, oh, what's the big deal? Just go to the emergency room. You're basically saying, I don't care about your kids.
That's so pro-life of you, by the way, Newt Gingrich, right? You're so pro-life that you would rather have someone struggle without any health insurance and wait until a condition gets so bad that they have to go to the emergency room.
And there's liars on every count, right? So they say don't politicize any issue like this, but the minute it's an issue that they like, they politicize it immediately. If there's any kind of terrorist strike, they're like, let's invade, let's bomb, we knew it, we need to profile people, we need to do this. Wait, what happened to not politicizing things? They jump to politicize anything that they think is vaguely helpful to them, right? And then they're like, oh, a celebrity like Jimmy Kimmel getting involved. Yeah, but when Ted Nugent gets involved, you guys love it. When Kid Rock gets involved, you're like, yes, Kid Rock in the White House, we have a celebrity on our side, right? So you're total giant hypocrites. And then one of the other reasons they get so mad at Kimmel is because he's rich. And they're like, oh, hypocrite, you're rich. No, there's nothing hypocritical about that. It's called empathy. That despite the fact that he's rich and can afford it, he still cares about you if you can't afford it. That is not hypocrisy. I don't think you understand the word. That's actually being a decent human being. And that really gets under their skin because they're like, why isn't he mercilessly greedy like the rest of us? Why doesn't he want to crush everyone that isn't already privileged? Like what they said about FDR, a traitor to his class.
Yeah. Well, I think every time it comes to a political issue, conservatives cry and moan about certain things that Democrats do. Democrats will correct their behavior And then Republicans turn around, as soon as they have a little bit of power, they do it 10 times more, like Trump with his executive orders. Look, all of these criticisms that conservatives throw out there are meant to intimidate people from being politically active, from speaking out, from being truthful about what's really going on. And we can't let that happen. I'm tired of Democrats being weak, and I'm really proud of Jimmy Kimmel for not stepping down. I'm really proud of him for bringing the issue up again and attacking Newt Gingrich the way he did, because that's what Newt Gingrich deserves.
And finally, his sarcasm was perfect, because what was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to come out and apologize for pointing out that his baby has a heart defect and needed all this health care, and that if you don't have insurance, that he wouldn't survive, right? Like, is he supposed to apologize for those facts? Like, is he supposed to make up facts? Is he then supposed to lie and go, yeah, you know what? Ooh, my bad, I didn't mean to get into the middle of a political scuffle here. You know, maybe babies should die so that rich people can get $756 billion tax cut. Ooh, either or, I don't know. I don't want to get in the middle of it.
Podcast The Young Turks anytime you want. tytnetwork.com/join.
I think it's weird.
No, it's not weird. In fact, you'll think,
I'm like a smart person.
do it now. tytnetwork.com/join.